Hi, everybody. We're excited to be involved with the summit today. And my name is Dr. Aaron Street. I'm one of the partners and owners in Live Life. And we're very excited to be partnering today with Northwestern Health Sciences University Minnesota Wellness Connection to bring you this summit. What I'm going to be doing today is just interviewing one of my very close friends and one of the best sports chiropractors there are in this country, Dr. Kevin Miller. Dr. Kevin Miller has practiced with and adjusted athletes at multiple Olympic Games and World Championships. He also works with professional MMA athletes and is just a pillar in his community, not just as an athletic doctor, but as a really proud chiropractor. So welcome, Dr. Miller.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Aaron?
Yeah, my friend. I'm glad you're part of our summit. So basically, Doc, what we want to do with this summit is really help educate, empower, and equip the community, and especially students and doctors, as far as making an impact in the world with chiropractic in their practice, and then turning that impact into a viable growth factor for their business. And so when we get started, I really think focusing on the impact side is really how you grow your income. Income, I think, is a side effect of the impact you have on the world. And I know that's what you believe and what you do and live in your life. So when we're talking specifically about athletes and connecting with athletes and with the great wealth of knowledge and experience you've had, what do you think right out of the gates as far as impact as a chiropractor we're able to provide to the athletic community, whether it be youth athletes all the way up through the elite Olympic and professional level athletes that you work with?
Yeah, well, just in this day and age, what we're going through right now, the impact, we need to be out there making a huge impact, not only on athletes, but on the world. We gotta send the right message, that people, it's about them and their health and not necessarily everything going on the outside. We got to have people focus on inward on themselves to stay healthy and keep their body strong. But athletes need the same thing, whether it's a mom, a mom that's taking care of the kids, or an athlete. We want them prepped, functioning at their highest level every single day. And athletes they can be a different animal, and you want to focus on the principle. Like I said, it doesn't matter who it is. Athletes need to hear the principle too, that their bodies are powerful, that they can heal, that they can recover, that they can perform better. Talk about performance with an athlete. If they know adjusting will get them perform at a higher level, they're in. I mean, you don't have to say anything else. They're going to do it no matter what. So just how you talk to an athlete is vital, and talk about performance and achievements. And if it's going to help them perform better and beat their opponent, or be a better teammate, that they're going to do it for sure.
I love that. And with the elite athletes I've worked with, and even the youth athletes and their families, leading with chiropractic as a performance tool first and foremost, and then following up with, dealing with injuries and preventing injuries. But performance is what they want to hear about, isn't it?
Yeah. Even if they're injured, you still talk about performance, because the body, they're going to heal unless something's ripped or torn. They're still going to heal. So always speak performance into that athlete, because they may have doubts in themselves. And if you can just change their mindset on how they perform themselves, I mean, every athlete's going to have a doubt in their mind if it's a combat sport, or if it's a team sport. Everybody has that. So if you can just speak performance into them, speak that when I adjust you, your body's going to function better. There's going to be more power to your leg muscles. There's going to be more power to your bicep. Depending on which sport it is and sport specific, but always speak performance, even if they come in with a pain syndrome or an injury.
I love it. That's great. And I think that's just some insight into the mind of an athlete and into the goals of an athlete in today's world, especially, is they want to get an edge. They want to perform better than their opponent, and they want to show up as their best self in competition in practice every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many biohacking and nutrition stuff out there. Like everybody's trying to get the edge, but what they don't have is chiropractic. They don't have the nervous system piece. And if you can educate them on that no other no other team or athlete is, if their opponent's not doing that. I know I take care of Grandview University, 9-time NAIA wrestling champions. They're going for their 10th in a row, the most ever in any division in the sport of wrestling. So I mean, they're a stud team that it's going to break a record this year, and they use it. The head coach, Coach Mitchell, uses it as a recruiting tool. I mean, he gets kids there, and they know that I go over and adjust them. That's my pro bono work. Go over Friday afternoons before practice, and they line up, all 30 to 50 of them. They all line up, and they get adjusted. I adjust for 30 to 40 minutes straight, one after the other. I'm not looking at their knees. I'm not taping them. I'm not doing that. I'm strictly turning their power on, adjusting them before their practice and before competition on Saturday. And he uses it as a recruiting tool.
I love it. So just so I'm understanding, Doc, so one of the top athletic programs in the history of all athletic programs as far as national championships uses chiropractic as one of their recruiting tools to get athletes into their school to compete.
Absolutely. Yeah, because he has them all prepped. So when I show up in the training room to adjust them, I just bought a table and put it over there. And when I show up, they all know who I am because he's recruited them all and said, you're gonna be getting chiropractic care by, Olympic doctor. So they're all excited. They're all excited to meet me.
That's great. That's awesome.
It's huge.
So the impact side is pretty clear. When we're going out, whether we're talking to a youth sports club, a high school sports team, a college sports team, or beyond, it's basically framing your ability to do something that no other profession can do, which is adjust patients with a chiropractic adjustment. And because of that, you're setting yourself apart and making those connections, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Street, because when I go in and I take care of high schools, and you always run into the athletic trainer. Some athletic trainers are awesome. They love chiropractic, but there are some that don't. And, they'll have their physical therapists and stuff there. And don't go in there and say you want to do all the other stuff. You don't want to tape them. You don't want to stim them. I mean, what you want to do is to go in there and set yourself apart and say, I don't want to take your job away. I just want to come in, enhance performance for your athletes by adjusting their spine. And then you tell them what's going to happen to them. You call your shot. You tell them, if it's a wrestling team, I mean, Dr. Aaron and I have a big wrestling background, so I gravitate towards the combat sports. But you go in there and tell them, well, your athlete's going to have, they're going to have a neck injury. They're going to get banged up. They're going to get a headache, at a tournament. They're going to get low back pain. They're going to get sciatic. You tell them what they already know, and that you're the solution for it. So they know that they have problems. And if you're the solution for it, they're going to be like, you can help us with that? Absolutely. Then it's an easy in. But don't go in and try to step on the trainer's toes or the physical therapist's toes, because that's not going to get you anywhere. You got to do your thing. Go in and adjust the spine and let everything else be. When we went to, took care of the Olympics, I was in London in 2012 and in Rio in 2016. They bring USA Wrestling, Team USA brings the therapists and the trainers. And that's one thing that we went in and said, there's some red tape that you got to go through. And we said, we don't want to do any of that. All we want to do is to help performance, help adjust the spine so the nervous system functions at a higher level. And they loved it. And then the athletes loved it. And then they ask for us. So then when the athletes say, we want our chiropractors there, that wins. If you have the athletes telling the coaches and telling the trainers and telling the administration, we want the chiropractor there, then you win, because they're going to do what the athlete wants.
That's great. And so I think the impact side is really clear, as far as showing up and framing what we have to offer at that level, the Olympic level, the college level. that chiropractic and chiropractors are unique in what we can offer that, and that we're not necessarily going to be in competition with. We're going to be in addition to what their other team members are already doing. Everybody's happy, and that's great. And what I think, and I've known Dr. Kevin for a long time, and I've been blessed to be able to work with elite athletes too, but what do you say? And I can imagine myself if I'm watching this video and say, well, that's great that dude's the Olympic doctor and he can, use that in his life as a marketing tool. But how would you go out to a youth sports club or a high school sports team, or just athletes that are already practice members, or families that have kids that end up becoming athletes? How do you use how do you frame what you can do for them, and how do you talk to people about it? How do you make connections in your community using sports as a connector in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. When you adjust somebody in your, you ask them, if they have kids or not, and say, hey, are they doing any sports? What do they do? You just make conversations with the patients. That's the easiest way. Somebody that already trusts you, they're getting great results. They want to help you out, and so you just ask them, what's your son do? Oh, he plays football and the freshman football team at whatever high school. And you get that high school, who's the coach? Would you just put a bug in the ear, send an email to the coach that, hey, I would, Dr. Miller, my chiropractor, would love to come and meet you. And you set up a meeting and you go meet them and you build a relationship. It's all about building a relationship and getting their trust. Because once they trust you and they understand what you do, then they open up everything for you. When I've done relationship building, then I just ask, once I get the coaches on board, I just ask them, hey, can I sponsor your golf outing? Can I come, if I sponsor your golf outing, can I come and speak to your group, speak to your team? What do you think they're going to say? Absolutely. Yeah. You give them a little money, sponsor them, help them out, buy their singlets or buy their some jackets for them, buy them t-shirts. They're going to let you in to that community. And then once you talk to the athletes, I always make it, like a parent meeting time. So the parents are there. So now you get in front of the athlete, the parents, and the coaches, and you can talk about whatever. Like last year, I went to several wrestling teams. I talked about sleep. I talked about nutrition. I talked about chiropractic. I kind of leave it up to the coach. What do you want your team to hear? And then I'll tell stories about going to the world championships and the Olympics, or, locally talk about Grandview, 10-time national championship wrestling team. But the key is building a relationship, and start with the people that already trust you. Ask what their kids are involved in, and ask them to send an email to them or a contact to their coach, and to introduce. And then once you introduce, you don't ask for anything yet. You go and talk to them, you meet them, say it's great to meet you, and then ask what they need. What do you need? And once you ask what they need and you follow up and you give that need to them, boom, then it's easy from there. So just building relationships, talking to people, making friends. That's what it's about. So, when you're a kid, or when you're in college, or, when you go to chiropractic school, right? You show up and you don't know anybody. So you make relationships and you make friends. It's the same thing when you get in practice. If you get really good at making relationships and giving to what they need first, and then once you find out what they need, then they're going to ask you back. And then if you take care of people, they take care of you. That is my philosophy on practice, and it's worked for 18 years. So I think that's a philosophy. You take care of them, they're going to take care of you and refer plenty of people into you.
When we're talking about, so say somebody's interested in working with athletes, let's frame this from students.
Sure.
So say there's a student in chiropractic school at Northwestern right now who thinks,
Sure.
I love sports. I want to work with athletes. How would you encourage them to get started with that journey to be able to be confident in in talking about the impact that they can have with athletes, in making relationships within the athletic community, and building a practice based off of that. How would you frame that or encourage a student?
If you don't know any of the team, I can't, whatever your niche is, whatever, if it's volleyball, if it's wrestling, if it's football, if it's baseball, softball, whatever your niche is, go volunteer, go coach, coach a team. You know, that's what I would do, is say, hey, find out who the local club is, or go to the high school and just say, hey, can I come volunteer? I played softball in high school and I would love to come and help your team. What can I do? Here's what I did. You know, I was an all conference second baseman. I'd love to come and work with your team for free. What do you think they're going to say?
Absolutely.
You know,
you might have to
absolutely.
do a check first in today's world, but after that, they'll let you in, right? Yeah, that's great advice. And so I always talk about this, and being able to work with anybody for any reason, especially when you're going out and marketing to outside groups and becoming an authority or a celebrity in your community with a certain group of people. It's all about wanting to give impact to the world, wanting to make a difference, wanting to help other people, and making that be your primary goal. And if you do that correctly and you really go out with that intent, and then you follow through and do a good job, the other stuff, the practice growth, the income, the respect that comes along with that is just what's going to happen as a result of being the person that you are. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, like, you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and, you know, we may make it sound easy. I mean, you're going to get some no's once in a while, but you got to have some resolve. Like, if somebody says, you know what, we're not interested, that's okay. You know, go to the next person, go to the next team, because somebody's been under chiropractic care. They have a story that they're going to tell you. And so you just keep going. I mean, you got to have if somebody says no the first time, you go to the next person, you go to the next team, you go to the next sport. You got to have some resolve sometimes. It's not that easy. It takes you got to build a relationship. Sometimes it does. It's just like that, but others, you got to work at it. Yeah. And you never know what you do, how it's going to, and you meet somebody, how that could impact you later in life. And that's another thing. Never burn a bridge. You know, if they don't treat you right, you don't burn the bridge. You don't retaliate on them. You know, and I think that's been a huge one for me too, is early on, you know, I had to grow up, because I thought it was about me, not about them. And so, you know, I retaliated on a few people, and I wish I would have not done that.
That's great advice. And the earlier you learn that, the better. It never really is about you. It's never personal, right? It's a timing thing for that. Yeah. And if you handle that with grace and maintain a good relationship, a lot of times that initial no will in the future become one of the biggest practice builders you have, and one of the biggest referrers to you as an individual. I've definitely experienced that as well.
Yeah.
Now, secondly, so we talked about students, and I think students have that opportunity when they're students to learn systems, to get immersed in culture of sport if they want to do that, to reach out and be trained by coaching like Live Life and some of the Athletes Edge things that we have to offer, work with guys like you as mentors. What if you're an existing doc in practice and you've been thinking, you know, I really like athletes. I see some athletes, you know, just as general patients, but I really would like to make an inroad into that field and really work with more athletes in my practice. I'm not a student. I'd say I've been in practice for 5 or 10 years, and I'm looking to grow my practice or get a little more traction in that arena. What would you use as the best place to start that way?
Yes. Yeah. Make a relationship with the coach, the alpha, and give them care. You know, you got to if you give, you're going to get back. And if you get the influencer under your care and they have good results, they're going to tell their kingdom to come in. And then they're paying customers and patients, and you help them. But get to the influencer, the coach, the head coach, and you just take care of them. Here's what I'm going to do. And all I ask in return, for example, MMA community in Des Moines is pretty big. So I sponsor several of the fighters, and all I do is say, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to sponsor you. And all you have to do when you come in the office is post on social media. Right. And that has gotten me more new patients than, I mean, people like when they have a problem, they're like, oh, so-and-so post about you. And so you're the place I need to go.
That's great. Yeah. And I think, again, it goes back to how do you get into that alpha influencer? How do you make a dent in their mind? And my experience has been, and I'd love to get your take on this. It's the same way that you talk to coaches or anybody else. You talk about a chiropractic adjustment and its effects on performance, because unfortunately, and there's nothing wrong with chiropractors doing, physiotherapy and laser. As a matter of fact, I do all those things in my practice, but those things are readily available to athletes out in the world. What isn't readily available, and oftentimes what isn't understood, is what a chiropractic adjustment is and the power of that to help an athlete with their performance goals. And say that's really how you get on a radar of an influencer in sports, is by letting them know, hey, I can adjust your spine, correct a misalignment, a subluxation, a fixation, whatever verbiage you want to use. And by doing that, studies show and research has seen, and I've anecdotally seen in my experience, that has a big impact on an athlete and their performance and how they feel. That might be something they've never heard before, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You lead with the nervous system with subluxation, because they don't know that. They don't know that system. They don't know that adjusting the spine is going to help them with performance. They have no idea. I mean, just do a simple motor system talk to them. Like, nerve, let's see, 5, 6, and 7, they control all your arm and shoulder muscles. Do you want them working better? Well, yeah. Well, then you need to get adjusted by me. And with confidence and with the right intent, they'll be like, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to do is have you in. I want to take you through my process in the office. I want to, number one, see how you feel, how you perform after you get adjusted. And then once they feel better, guess what? Then you have all their, whether it's their gym, whether their coach, their team, their athletes, whatever it is, you're going to have an inroad to it. And then if it is let's say it's a youth team, you take care of the head coach, and you say, hey, I want to come and just volunteer and take care of the kids. You get waivers from the parents, and who's going to make the decisions if the kids are getting adjusted? If it's okay, then when the parents have a problem, guess where they're going to go? Yeah. They're coming into your office because they know you, they trust you, you've adjusted their kids, so they're going to come in and into your office.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I always say too, when you have the opportunity to work with somebody, it's your job as the doctor to give a world-class physician-patient, doctor-patient experience, meaning you're going to be focused, you're going to be present time conscious, you're going to do everything you can to make sure that you get results with that patient, and you're going to deliver the goods, and you're going to walk your talk, so to speak, with those people, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
That steps in your office at any time, but especially in those moments.
Yeah. In the beginning, yes, I invite them into the office, and I preface it as, I want you to experience the best chiropractic care. And, Dr. Aaron, you and I know when we adjust somebody, we're delivering the goods. We're moving the bones. They're going to have a positive effect on that nervous system and the brain. So you go in with that confidence, and as students, that confidence may not be there. That's why going and volunteering and adjusting, the coaches and doing it for free will give you that confidence over time. But then get them in and get them in that professional setting where you can deliver, and it's going to make a change on them. And get it when you're adjusting in your office, in shift, in state, with the proper intent, they're going to feel it rather than just going to their house or going to the gym. You can do that later, but to get their trust and to get the maximum benefit for the influencer, you want them in your office feeling the maximum intent. You want them to see how many people you have in your waiting room.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy must be good. He's got, 10 people waiting for him.
Yeah.
When they see that, that just immediately brings you credibility.
That's another trick, students and new docs. When you schedule your schedule of your patients, you cluster them together. So yeah, there's people in the waiting room and people come in, not necessarily in COVID times. One other thing I just want to make clear, Doc, because I know that this too and feel this. So as a student, you obviously can't go and adjust people, unless you're in your clinic and through your school. But Doc was saying go and volunteer your time, learn the
time,
and you adjust people only as allowed by your school and the clinic. So that's important. But
yes.
One final thing, so I think, first of all, for all of you listening to this, Dr. Miller has just grown a world-class practice, a very high volume, a very financially successful practice, all based off of impacting the world. He's such a high integrity, really great man and wonderful friend of mine, and I just have so much respect for him. But the final thing is, if we're honest as practitioners and students hoping to pay back student loans and doing those things, we want to start with the impact. We want to get the access and deliver an impact to the world. And we want that impact to come back to us in the form of income and growth of our practice. So can you elaborate a little just on your experience with growing your practice through the volunteer efforts, through the impact-driven giving to receive type of mentality that you're talking about, and some of the results you've seen for yourself, for your associate doctors, for the other doctors you've trained in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, if you give something in scripture, you give something, it's going to come back tenfold. And sometimes you do. You have to, if you go out and give some care, go out and take care of the influencers in your town, invite them into your office, and you have a conversation with them. I'm going to give you this amount. Here's what the value is that I'm going to give you. But I think you're, influencer. I respect you, or I want to learn from you. Especially coming out, like it's okay to say that. I want to learn from you as a business person. Like if they're the head of a car, you go and buy your car somewhere, and they're the manager of the whole place. Like offer it to them. Like they have a lot of influence, and I want to learn from you. I think that's the best thing that you could say to anybody coming out, even your patients, is. I'm new to town. I want to learn the community. I want to learn who I need to talk to, who are the influencers in town, who are the business people. And you just go out and start meeting people. And don't be afraid. You go knock on the business doors. You go knock on the neighborhood doors. When you start out, it is a relationship building business. And like I said earlier, don't burn any bridges, because you never know when they're going to come back in your life. Yeah. And that happens a ton. I have college friends that, or high school people that now live in Des Moines, Iowa, or West Des Moines in the metro area here. And 20 years later, they're coming in as new patients, so because you treated them well at some point down the road, in the road. And you just got to go out and meet people. I call it shaking a lot of hands. You go meet people, you invite them into your practice. And when you say, I'm a chiropractor, most people have a response of, oh, I have this problem. And whether they're, they may make a joke about it or maybe really serious, you always have to be serious and say, I'm the answer. I can help you with your headaches, with your neck pain, with your lower back, whatever it is. You're always the answer. No matter what, you're the answer. And you tell them that, because the more confidence that you have, the more confidence, if two people meet, the person with more confidence is always going to win. And so you have to have that confidence when you shake their hand. Tell them what you do. I change lives. I'm going to help you with your headache, whatever their situation is. I want to take care of you. I want to learn from you. I want to get to know the people that work in your business. How can I help you? Do you guys do any lunch and learns? Can I come in and speak to you guys? There's so many different levels that you can go at the relationship building, but you got to start first and give to them. What can I do to help you? That's the number one question that you want to ask people when you get out of school and you go to your town. What can I do to help you? That's the question that I would ask everybody.
outstanding, Doc, and so greatly appreciated. And so I would just like to tell everybody who's listening, no matter where you're at, if you're a student, if you're a new doc, if you're an existing doc, or you're somebody who's already taken over the world and just wants to learn a little more in this niche, we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. And so if you want to learn Dr. Miller's specific strategies and our Live Life specific strategies to become confident, to speak and meet with athletes and people in your community, and finally how to grow your practice around that, we have a very thorough, very well done linear fashion to just help people walk through that process, so you don't have to become an Olympic doctor right out of the gates. You can start and grow, and then the sky's the limit. And to have access to that, just look at the summit page below through the Minnesota Wellness Connection and Live Life Chiropractic Coaching and Consulting. We just have a tab right here associated with the summit where you can fill out a little strategy form, and we can help you on your journey. So once again, Doctor, we just appreciate you so much. We look forward to having you back again in the future, and just keep doing what you're doing. You make me proud as a chiropractor to be doing the same profession you're doing, and you definitely make me proud as a friend. So
Well, back at you. Okay.
Right on, brother.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. Have a great day.